Hello, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Shauna from Created and Made, and today I will be showing you guys how you can use this waterproof transparency film in your mixed media arts and crafts. Now, what you see here are some projects that I made using this film. All of these beautiful embellishments that are translucent and made of plastic. They kind of resemble acetate. They were all made with this film. Now, this film is advertised as being for screen printing. I don't screen print, but I wanted to see how it could be used in mixed media, and I discovered that it has so many benefits. Now, this stuff is waterproof, printable, sprayable, writable, stampable, cuttable, and embossable. And the best part is you can use a lot of your water-based mediums on this plastic. That's going to be your dilutions and your distress, for example. You can also use acrylic sprays, and you can use solvent-based mediums like alcohol ink and alcohol markers. So I'm going to show you a bunch of different supplies you can use on this stuff, and some of it will be pretty surprising. And I'm going to show you a couple of application methods. And finally, I'm going to go through a couple of quick project demos for you guys. So, fun stuff ahead. Stay tuned. Okay, before we jump into the demoing, I just want to let you guys know a very important rule when working with this product, and that is it's only one-sided, meaning only one side of this material is going to work for all the things I'm going to be showing you. And to be quite honest, there's no super easy way to determine which side is which just by looking at it. But the way that I've been able to figure it out is the damp finger trick. Now, I have some water here off camera. I've stuck my finger in it, and I have a damp finger. Now, you can touch the material. If it sticks, if your finger sticks, you guys should be able to see that paper is stuck to my finger. If it sticks, that is the side you want to work on. If you turn it over and touch the material with your finger, nothing happens. I know it's probably a little hard to see. I hope you guys can see this plastic, but nothing happens when I touch this side with a damp finger. So you have to be sure that you're always working on the right side, and then you should have success using this product. So let's get into the demos. Okay, we're jumping right in here. I'm going to show you a lot of the mediums you can work with on this plastic film, starting with Distress ink and Distress oxides. Now, as you know, if you've used Distress, they are water reactive and they can be reactivated very easily, but not if you use this material. You stamp it on there and it is dry. It is done, and you're not getting that off. The only exception is going to be here with the oxides, where the pigment portion is going to wipe away. Now, oxides are both dye and pigment, and whereas regular Distress is just dye. And as you will see here, if you spray the oxide, the pigment portion will wipe away and you'll be left with the dye portion. Now, they're usually two different colors, so it can be a happy surprise to see what's underneath that pigment with Distress oxides. Now, that's just a function of Distress, and it also will be that way with things that have mica or anything metallic or powdery that's just not going to be fixed on this product. It will wipe away. And what I'm going in here with is some archival, and then I'll go in with some StazOn, both of which are wonderful on non-porous materials. But I did want to mention with the Distress, back to the Distress, and with products like Dylusions, those products are usually water reactive. Like, you can put them down and then re-wet them and blend them and do those things. That's not going to be the case here. Like, when you put it down, it's going down. You know, it's there, and you can't reactivate it with water, and which is good. You know, if you want your Distress and Dylusions to be set, this is a good product to use to set those colors where they won't activate again when you're done. So that's one of the great things. I'm talking pros and cons about this material, but that's one of the great things to me, to have something in our arsenal that will set Dylusions, that will set Distress, so you don't have to worry about it reactivating. Now, just really quickly here, what you see me showing you is that oxide sheet that I sprayed. It looks like a little bit more opaque than the other one. It looks very white. And this product, just so you know, will look that way if it's, because I sprayed the whole thing down with water, it will look that way until it completely dries. Once it completely dries, it'll go back to its translucent appearance. And I'm just going to go in now with some sprays and let you guys see how these work out. Now, one of the pros I mentioned is that this stuff dries easily. It's easy to work with, easy to print on, cut, glue, etc. I will link a video up top to a project I did with photo paper and sprays, because this material acts a lot like photo paper. It catches the dyes a lot like photo paper. It sets the dye-based products a lot like photo paper. And so you might want to check that video out too if you're interested in that. But some of the cons about working with this material, as you will probably see here, is that because it grabs that dye, or it grabs that color, and it makes it stop moving, it is generally not blendable. Like, there are very limited circumstances where you're going to get any sort of blend on this material with your colors. And I mean, for me, that's fine. You know, that's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to make blends, because you just can't do that on this stuff. And I think that is still, the pros outweigh the cons. But another thing you want to be mindful of is, just like photo paper, this material will stick to your gel plate. So if you're even thinking about trying this on the gel plate, don't do it, because you won't like what happens. It can damage the plate, or it can make holes in the plate. It's just not a good idea. I guess whatever finish they have over the top is similar to the finish they have over the top of photo paper, because they both stick to the gel plate. Another con of working with this material is that it is a milky sort of finish. It's not fully clear. It's translucent, like I've been calling it, but it does have a slightly white finish to it. And I think that it's just whatever film they have over the top that makes this thing do what it does. It's not clear. So when you're using it over the top of a white material, it doesn't, like, you can't really tell. But when you want to try to put this over the top of a dark or black material, that's when you're going to see that it's not all the way clear. And finally, gluing this stuff down can be tricky, but that's going to be the same with any clear material that you're using, acetate, any kind of film, because you don't want the adhesives to show through. But I'm going to demonstrate a couple methods of attaching or adhering this stuff to our projects later on in the video. But as long as you find a good glue that really dries clear, it should be not too bad to get this stuff adhered down. So I'm going to go ahead and put some music on in the background and let you guys finish washing these mediums, and then I'll be back to talk about printing the material. Okay, we talked about the film being printable, and I want to show you guys a few examples of that. Now, it's advertised as being printable on an inkjet printer. So if you have a laser printer, I was wondering if that would still work. And so I printed out this photo I had on my laser printer, and this is how it turned out. I mean, I have this piece of collage paper behind it so you guys can see how translucent it is. I think it came out beautifully. I mean, when I have printed on plastic materials in the past on my laser printer, I was able to scratch the ink right off the top. Even when I tweaked the settings, even when I went, you know, to the moon and back trying to figure out how to print on acetate, on printable transparency film, I just could never get it to work. I mean, it would print, but the print would not be set. So I can just take my fingernail and I could scratch off the color. That's not happening here. Now, just for example's sake, this is something I did on my inkjet. I have a laser and an inkjet, and this is an inkjet print that I made of, you know, watercolor printable. And you can see how beautiful it looks with that collage in the background. And check this out. I printed out a real photograph of a person that I do not know. This is a model off of Storyblocks where I have a subscription. I printed off this photo of her, and look how beautiful that came out. Can you imagine the possibilities where you can use these real photos on this translucent substrate, and look how this collage paper is showing through her dress, her face. I mean, it would just be phenomenal to be able to use this for real photo prints. And finally, I took mandala printable thing. I'll drop a link where I got this from in the description, and you can see how this can be used as like a coloring sheet, right? And that is exactly what I'm going to do with it. Be right back. Okay, so I have my mandala shapes here, and I'm going to go in and color them with some alcohol markers. I showed you guys earlier using Crayola markers. These are water-based. Alcohol markers are alcohol-based or solvent-based. So that's going to include, I have a Hoo markers. It also includes Sharpies and Copics. And these kind of markers, they will work really well on a non-porous surface like this. But when you have something printed on it, you have to be careful, because this paper is waterproof, but it's not solvent proof, and alcohol markers are solvents. They're solvent based. And so when you color on these, if you do too much manipulating or too much over the top of the ink, you could activate the ink, or in worst case scenarios, you could remove the ink or damage the printed image. Now, I've had success doing it, but I don't do too much. I'm going to show you a little bit when I color my image for our project that we're going to do. But another thing about alcohol ink or alcohol markers, and alcohol ink for that matter, is with this substrate you can also use color on the back. And because the back is just a plain old plastic material, and alcohol markers work very well on material like that. In fact, I will show you how it works. It goes on easily, it dries quickly, and it's visible on the other side. I mean, it'll be a little more muted from this side than it will from this side, but you know, if you want to not have to worry about the effect anything's gonna have on the ink, then you can do it on the back. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna choose this image to color with my markers, and I'm gonna get started on that. So I'm finishing up this last tag, just inking my edges here, and then I'm going to go in with some dark black splatters. I really like how this tag turned out. I mean, it's very simple, very straightforward. Anybody could do it, but it packs a lot of punch, and I think that those transparent film flowers really set the whole thing off. I mean, those look like you can get them in the store, right? Like, they look like you would pay some money for them too. They look pretty good. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you got some good information, and look forward to getting your creative juices flowing with this transparency film. If you liked it, please go ahead and leave a like, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys next time. Have a creative day. Bye bye.